Hi guys, it's Moz here from Moz6510 Models. We are a channel dedicated to help you become a better scale modeler. So I'm going to be talking tonight about a very important piece of equipment that I use when I do my modeling, whether I'm cutting pieces off sprues, whether I'm cutting out decal sheets, even to the point of just scraping away some filler. Is this scalpel knife is a very good rounded tool when you do your model making. But what I wanted to do was go through techniques of putting the blade on, taking the blade off, tools you can use for when you want to change blades, and also just to go through the types that I personally use of handles, the size of handles, and the blades that I use and why. So this video is going to be an all-rounder with a few little tips, and hopefully you'll gain something from this. And if you don't have a scalpel, this may be a good stepping stone into using the scalpel in your modeling. So let's start off with the actual scalpel knife. Now, as you can see, it is in two parts. You have what they call the scalpel handle. It's quite obvious really, and then you have the scalpel blade. So you have a blade and a handle, and together they make up what we call the scalpel knife. Now I personally use two sizes of handle. I use the number 4 handle and also the number 3. Now the number 4 is obviously a little bit small, a little bit bigger than the smaller number 3. Now these ones here aren't Swann Morton, but I found them to be just as good, and I picked them up from eBay relatively cheaply, or Amazon. I think these ones come from Amazon, to be fair, quite cheaply. And so you buy the blades to fit the handle that you're using. For instance, I use a number 4 handle, and the blades I use are the number 26. So if we look carefully at the blade, so I'm trying to be careful, you shouldn't really hold the blade with the hand. There'll be a number on the blade that will say what it is. So that one's number 26. Now on the number 3s, I use blades number 11 and number 10, and this is for more finer work. But obviously they're just as sharp. They just have different uses, and you feel the uses. So sometimes you may want to get into a really small piece, a small hole in the model, and using a smaller blade is a lot easier. Yeah, you have the number 10s, which have got the rounded bull nose finish, and you have the number 11, which is basically the straight pointed blade. And those are the two that I personally use. So let's just talk about actually fitting the blade onto the handle. Now there's a method that I've always used when I put the blade on these handles. So we're going to do number 4 first. I'm just going to show you how the blades come. There's two ways they come. They either come like this in a pack of 5 blades. These are Swann Morton ones, because you know I seem to find that these ones here seem to fare better. They tend to keep the sharpness a little bit longer than cheapy ones, and also sometimes when you press too hard, so I've seen blades shatter and break, and I find the Swann Morton ones are a lot better for just to protect yourself. These ones here, the dual ones, are also very good. So those are the two makes that I use for my blades. So what I'm going to do is open up the number 4 blade, and you'll see that inside the foil they come wrapped. These are non-sterile ones, you don't need sterile ones. And what they do is they come in paper, and you very carefully open up the paper. This is more the dangerous dangerous part of this, because I'll show you afterwards, you don't tend to touch the blade with your hands afterwards, okay? So they come wrapped up in a piece of paper, okay, for these are the number 4s. Now, the dual ones, which I've got here, these come with a really good system where, you know, like a plaster, you open them up one end. So what I tend to do is open them up very carefully just to show the end of the blade. Just hold on to the blade, just to show the end of the blade, okay? And then from that point, I can then use my flat nose pliers to pick it up and use. So that's basically the technique, opening up both of these. So for this one here, we're going to say this one's off the paper. So what I'm going to do is, this is on the paper. So what I tend to do is, while it's on the paper, I grab the blade like so. So I am just off the ridge. Now you can see that the ridge the hole starts big, and then there's a ridge, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, that's because the shape of the groove is actually only so far. So basically, it's a way of it's like a very simple locking mechanism. So you pick up the knife and you have the blade, and what you do is from this angle here, you make sure that the diagonal is the same, and then you carefully feed the blade onto the handle like so. So once he's in the groove, what I do is I hold on with my fingers and my thumb there, and I gently pull the blade towards, and then when it's locked into that position there, I then grab the other end and then I push, and then it locks, and that's it. The blade is now locked into position. Can you see that? That's how I load a scalpel blade. And it's the very same with whoops, that's magnetized. It's the same with this one as well. On the number 3s, you've got that same very small groove on the end, and you've got the diagonal, which is where it locks. So from here, what I tend to do is I just pinch the end, pull out, that then can be binned, and then what I then do is gently push it onto the groove, gently, and then from the very end I then get a bit more control, and then I just push and it locks into position. Can you see that? It's locked. And that's how I load a scalpel blade onto the knife, onto the handle to make the scalpel knife. So this is a way of putting on the blade without actually touching them, and it's the safest way. There's, as you're forcing, there's, you know, you're not forcing, you know, I've seen people holding on to the knife like that and then forcing it on. Don't do that. Just use a tool, whatever you've got, and that should help you in putting the blade onto the knife. So now I'm going to teach you a really safe method of removing the scalpel blade from the handle. Now, again, I'm going to use my trusty flat nose pliers. There's all sorts you can use plier wise, but these, I've had these for ages, and even though they're pink, because I think they came from my wife's female toolbox, but these are absolutely brilliant. I think they're for jewelry making, but I've had them for ages. To remove the blade, there's a really good method of removing the blade, and it works for any size of blade, any size of handle, but it is the safest, I promise you. You first grab at the back. Now, before we quickly go on, you see there's a little bit of springiness in the blade, because it actually locks down in behind, so you can't pull it off. The blade can't come off, it's stuck there. What you do is you just nip the end of the blade, and then you gently put a slight bend in it so it goes over the top of the notch there. Can you see that? If I pull it up to there, over the top, so from that angle it goes over. There's a little bit of a spring. You don't need not of twist, but just enough. Once it's in that position there, you put your finger in behind and you keep your thumb ready. You're not going to push the blade, you're going to push the pliers. So you grab it, and then with your thumb, just push and off. Now, that is the safest way I found to take the blade off. Right now, do not do this. I've seen people do this. They do that, they twist it, and then they go like that. You end up stabbing someone, or you end up flicking the blade somewhere where you've got to pick it up with your hand. No, make it a relaxed, controlled movement to remove the blade. Make it really relaxed and controlled. So then it goes in, a slight twist, and then push with the thumb, and it will come off. If you find that because it's a little bit rusty, that it sticks, again, whoops, see, I can't even do it myself now. Say that the groove's a little bit rusty, and you find that you've got it this far, you can then let go, and then just grab the end and just gently pull off. That's it, just gentle, but make sure it's controlled and slow. And also remember, do it towards your chum and not your thumb. So don't go doing it this way and then you flick it up and you bang. If you're left-handed, probably you may be tempted to do it this way, give it in bang and into yourself. No, just do it so that it's away from you. Everything's away from you, so that and away from anybody else. So there's one, that's the safest method I found to removing the blade from a scalpel, to remove the blade from the handle. Straight up, push, out it comes. It's so simple. And once you do it once or twice, you'll see how easy it is. Using your thumb just to give it leverage and out it comes. All right, and you can do it with any blade you so wish. And you can also do it with the little knives as well. You find a little thing, give it a slight twist, and then just push off with your thumb. Okay, it's really simple. I think these have had it actually. Just look at them now, and just gently take them off. It's it, but just use your thumb. Make it a very controlled effort. These don't need a lot really, so you give it a twist. Okay, whoops. Give it a twist, push off with your thumb, and then again push off with your thumb if there's a bit of a smaller blade. That is the simplest and the easiest way of removing the blade. I don't use these knives very often. I just think, you know, they are very good, you know, for really intricate work, but I tend to always stick to this bad boy here, which is the number 4 and the number 26 blade. They come printed on. I can't see that in the light. It says 26 printed on there, like an emboss through the foil. That's the blades I use. And then for the number 3s, there's the 11s and the 10s. The 10s with like the bull nose sort of one. But anyway, that's by and by. So that's the removal of the blade from the handle, the safest way without, we're just using a set of pliers. I thought I'd bring this one into the mix. Now, this is a Swann Morton Universal Scalpel Blade Remover. So that's the tool. It's just really a plastic box and you can't get into it. There's no way of getting into it. So once your blade goes in, you've lost it. Hence why I'm using older blades for this demonstration. So the idea is that this is how it works. Is the blade goes in to position, which is there, and you can see that it's got to land roughly there, so that when you press down it pushes the blade up, and then you pull back and it catches on the bottom bit there, and the blade should come off. It's not the best tool in the world, this, right? But it's a way of keeping your blade safe out of range. There's nothing, you know, I don't know. You know, I've seen people, they just chuck them in a bin, which is the most dangerous thing you can do. So that's what it goes in, and then as you lift up, the blade just stops in, and you can't get the blade out. The blade's now gone. That's how it works. That one. I'll do it again. I've got another one here. So you push the blade in, it's facing down, so the blade goes in down, and you just want it to catch in the groove. So the groove is actually what pushes the blade up. It's very difficult to see from this angle, but you push down like so, and then the blade is actually touching the top of this. So when you pull it out, as you see, it's still quite a pull, but it keeps the blade safe. In it goes, and then it's gone. And that's just a tool that they use. The way I get rid of blades, the best way is using the good old-fashioned masking tape method. So what I do is I take the masking tape to here, like so, and then I actually affix the blade to the masking tape, like this. So the blade gets fixed, I fold the tape over, and then what I then do is pull a big chunk off. So I'm not, trying to protect my hands, like so. And then I just gently put a loop in the top and go around. And then again, put a loop near the top and around. And as you can see, it's very difficult to cut yourself, especially when you've got that extra bit. I don't think you can see it in the light there. There's an extra bit there, and if you feel that it needs a little bit more, there's nothing wrong with you just over the tape, pushing it back on there, and then pull, cut a bit off. And again, you can even fatten that bit up there. Just do that, just to give it a bit of protection. Then go over it diagonally. This is how I do it, this is how I bin all my scalpel blades. And that way, there's no way that blade's gonna end up hurting anyone. That just go in the bin, out the way. So that's how I get rid of the blades as well. So when I'm using a scalpel knife, I actually try my best with good housekeeping on making sure that the blades are kept in a position where I'm not going to cut myself, that the sharpness is downwards, out the way from being brushed over so you cut yourself with, and they're ready to pick up quite easily, because the last thing you want to do is fanny around, because even here it's an effort to pick up the knife. So I bought this, and I know it is for using paintbrushes for when you're painting. I know that's what it's for, but it also makes for a very, very good holder for your knife. It is a good little tool, and if you haven't got one of these, you can also use blue tack or white tack, pink tack, red tack, whatever colour tack you want. Cut a piece off, fold it over like so, and then place it on your workbench. White tack or blue tack is your friend, because if you've got nothing to keep them upright with, that is perfect. It really is. It's so simple, and I do it regularly. I do change the blue tack, and also it's just there for when I need to use blue tack. But yeah, that's really what I use the blue tack for, is just put the blade down and it's stuck there. Get this blade straight down, keeps it upright, you can pick it up, no problem. None of this fanning around trying to get it up. It's there, bang, job's a good one. Also, if you wanted to, you could take the blue tack and put it in the tray here. So lift them up over there, take the blue tack onto there, and there you've got a two position in there of keeping the blade safe, ready to use. Using a scalpel blade to cut decals. Now, this is a really, really interesting technique that I was shown from an old model maker. Now, he always said that when you cut a decal, you always cut straight back towards you, because you can see what you are doing. Now, as an example, so you get your decal sheet and you say you want to take those stars off, okay, those American United States Air Force roundels off. So what he would say to me is that you always go towards you when you cut, so you clearly see using both eyes. What the example is basically is when you cut, so you got your decal, and you got you hold the blade like so with 3 fingers back, 1 on the top, so you've got that control. So wherever your finger points, the blade points. Okay, when you go in from this angle here, there's not that much control. There's a lot of, you can lose control. So the idea is to always turn the decal, but keep the blade straight back. So from here, you can clearly see I need to go down this line here. So straight, what I tend to do is try to be as straight as I can. And then you come back towards you. And you can clearly see where you're going with the blade. So all the way down to there. Yeah, about there. Stop. Then turn the decal sheet. And then pull back this way, fingers away from the blade, because you've got no reason for the blade to be anywhere near your fingers. You pull back. Okay, there you are. And if you want to get a bit closer, okay, keep your finger back here, and the blade goes there, and then you pull back on yourself so you can see. Okay, and then what you then do is turn that one around and then pull back here to finish off the cut. Same again across here. Pull, you could have a little bit, keep your finger away, pull back, and there. So you're always pulling back towards you is the most easy. It's the most. It feels a bit weird at first if you're used to doing it like this and you're doing all this sort of movement. But once you start into the pattern of cutting back towards you, there's a lot of control. You keep your elbow into your arm, into your body, your elbow into your body as you pull back, and you can keep it pretty straight. Okay, just a little tip for when you're doing decal. Same with this. I'm gonna take this yellow one off now. So I look at where I'm cutting. So I start here. And I'm going to go straight back. I'm going to try and make that line up. So that's pretty well straight from there. And then I pull back. And you're in a lot of control there to that point there. Twist it slightly. So you're back in line again. Again, plenty of light, pull back. So you know where you're cutting. So there. Then from that point there, again, you're quite straight. So I'm going to go from there actually. I'm going to go back over that. You pull down, following the line, and you can see how far up you need to go. Again, straight back towards you. There. I'm getting quite close here now. Just trying to show you how close you can get. So again, fingers away, pull back, straight, sorry, pull back. See, I've gone off there because I didn't go straight. There you go. And then again across here, so it's straight, and then you pull back. And you're almost there. And then all you need to do now is go around to where you need to just cut, pulling back. Pulling back. So I deceived myself. I thought I was straight when I was pulling and I wasn't. And that should. There you go. And there's your decal off there. Just a real straightforward way of cutting your decals off quite accurately by not moving the position of the blade, but keeping the blade straight and moving the actual decal sheet. The final thing I'm going to show you is how to use a scalpel to cut your pieces off the sprue. So you've got the sprue here and you have your runs, and then you have your little lugs, and you want to cut really where the lugs are. So again, pick up the knife. You want to come back towards you, because that's where you're in the most control. You got your fingers on the blade. You can, you know, and you see which pit you want. So I'm using a really old kit, because I think this is quite thicker plastic or harder plastic to work with. I'm just going to show you how I would use well, normally I would, honestly, I would use these to cut, but I'm just going to, if you haven't got a pair of sprue cutters, then you can use a scalpel knife. So again, you find the piece that you want. Again, you're coming back on yourself. You want to get in as close as you can, and then just push down away from you, then pull back. So you go down and you pull back, and it kind of cuts it like so. There you go. And then push down, pull back, and it cuts. And it should just come off easy. And then you can go over with the scalpel, and the action is towards you. And I've seen it done where they do this, where you keep your thumb behind, and you just use your 4 fingers, use it resting this on the back of the blade, just to trim up the edges. Just very carefully, just trim up the edges, so they end up looking nice and flat. There's a little bit of flash there. So we just gently just scrape that off. Give it a nice clean finish. So this time we're going to take off the nose. Make sure it's quite flat down. Again, straight in there. Just give it a push, and it will just kind of snip off, and then just carefully try and clean this up without touching your skin. So it's best to go away from your skin as much as possible. But yeah, that's how I use a scalpel to occasionally take pieces of plastic off the sprue. So guys, that was really what I would call an in-depth sort of tips, tricks, methods video on the use of the scalpel knife. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've come away with knowing something new, and you found yourself a new way of protecting yourself when you actually use these blades, whether you are cutting out decals, whether you're cutting sprues, whether you're just using it for scraping off to make a finish, a nice finish on an edge. And then I've also shown you some really good ways of replacing your blades and loading blades and taking off blades and disposing of blades from the handle. So that's it. I've got not much more else to share on it. There's a website called SwannMorton.com that will go into in depth the sorts of blades that they can provide, and there may be a blade on there that you will find that you would probably use more than the 2 that I've shown you today. Anyways, again, thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, click like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm almost close to 1,000 viewers now, or subscribers, and it'd be really good to get to that 1,000 mark. And if there's anything you want to ask me, just put it down into the comments. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.